Hey guys, Tuesday Tula, that's me talking, that's this. Okay, so we totally had another video scheduled today, which is why I'm basically in jammies, that we had recorded a couple days ago. But then something came, and when I get excited, I like to share that. So something super fun came in today, and I just wanted to show it to you. The cool thing about these videos is that I can sort of do things in real time, which normally I can't do, right? Because there's like marketing and we got to talk about stuff and whatever. But what's cool is I don't have to do that if I don't want to, I guess. So I have been working for a while now with a little beautiful company that makes a product I love so much. And if you've watched any of my English paper piecing videos, you are totally familiar with SewTites because I talk about these a lot. So they're magnetic sewing pins is what they call them. And essentially they're these little magnets. So it's like a really cute little plastic bit with magnets on it that connects to a bar on the back, right? Super great. So much better than other products that are used in the same way. So like for English paper piecing, I used to always use Wonder Clips, these little guys, which are still super good for other stuff. But I'd use Wonder Clips and I could clip my two pieces together to sew so that I didn't have to hold on to it so tight. And it was great. It totally worked, super effective, no complaints, except that as I'm sewing, my thread would get wrapped around this that sticks out, right? So every once in a while I'd have to undo it. Not really a hardship, minor hardship, but it wasn't so big of a deal. I worked around it and it was fine. And then I don't even remember at this point when I came across this. I probably should. I'm sure someone showed it to me. Maybe they showed it to me. I don't remember. Anyway, I've never been accused of having a very good memory. So then somebody gave me, oh, now I remember. All right, I'm back. I was at Quote Market and the two beautiful ladies that own SewTites dropped one of these off at my Quote Market booth. And I was like, oh, thanks. You know, I was like, cool. I mean, I get a lot of product, not a lot, but every once in a while I get products dropped off in my booth. And sometimes they really work for me and I use them. Sometimes I don't. Not that they're not good products, but sometimes they just don't work for me personally for the way I sew in a very particular way. But I recognize that they're good products. But this was one of the ones that I actually, full disclosure, didn't think too much about. I couldn't really figure out why I would need it. So it just sort of sat in my sewing room for a few months. And then I picked it up one day because I was having this problem. And she had told me, I know you like to English paper piece, you should try them for English paper piecing. And I thought, okay, why not? So I took one of these little things and put it on my English paper piecing. And it totally holds your pieces together. And now this one's clearly too big for this particular piece, but there were little ones too. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing because it holds it together like crazy, like, right? And if you have the right size piece, it doesn't stick out. Oops. It doesn't stick out from your piece and there's nothing to get caught on. I was like, this is amazing. This is genius. And so I've worked with them a lot over the years because when I find a product I really love, I tend to buy a lot of them so I can keep them in every sewing bag I have. And that's what I did with these. And then one day I thought, I was talking to them and I thought, what if we had a really beautiful little Tula Pink version of this? So that's what we're talking about today. So there's a couple of elements that make a good SewTite for me. One of them is no hard edges, nothing to get my thread caught around. So I don't want a lot of corners. I want everything to be round. So as I was thinking about shapes, I thought about the heart because I love hearts, because I love love and hearts are love, and how nicely a little heart would fit onto all of my little pieces. So this is my new SewTite, you guys. I'm super psyched. So this is the package that it's coming in. And so my idea was like, so we have this little wood grain in the background on the package, and then there's this little heart and it says TP plus U. And so my thought process for this was that like, if you and I were sewing together and we carved our name into a heart on a tree, this is what it would look like. So this is me and you sewing together. Like if you're sewing my fabric and you're hand sewing some special project using fabric I designed, it is sort of like we love each other and we're like a couple. And that's what this is. This is me and you being like a cute couple. And carving our names into a tree forever and ever. But of course I couldn't like carve everyone's name. So it just says you and that's you. So this is our little pack. There are 5 to a pack. So every pack comes with 5 little hearts and 5 little backs. But like, look at how sturdy this thing is. And so here's why that matters. Here's why I like these. 1, it's sturdy. My piece isn't moving around. Like if I want to adjust the piece, it's actually a little bit difficult. So once I get it stuck on there, it's totally stuck. What I also like is the weight of it. So it gives me something to sort of hold on to instead of trying to pinch the pieces and hold them in place, which actually creates a ton of like, if you ever find that you have to do this on your thumb, like this on the pad of your thumb, that's from holding this too tight. And that over time can run all the way up your arm. I can't have that because someday in the very distant future, I'm going to retire and my retirement plan is to English paper piece until I die. So got to keep all of this working right. So, so that's one of it. The weight sits in my hand really nicely. It holds the papers together really good. So I find I don't pinch when I'm holding it. I tend to just hold it like kind of lightly, sort of gently. So I really like it for that. This is probably my main use for it, but there are other uses. So I wanted to show you another way. So they call them magnetic sewing pins. And here's why. They're magnetic. Duh. That part's easy. But when you're working with, so like when I make bags like this, right? Like all my By Annie bags with the vinyl and everything. So when I'm sewing the vinyl to the fabric, you can't pin vinyl with straight pins because it will leave holes. And so you don't want a bunch of holes in your vinyl after your beautiful bag's all finished and all cleaned up. You don't want a bunch of sewing pin holes. These magnets work as magnetic sewing pins. So I have a piece of vinyl, which you can see here, and a piece of 2 layers of fabric plus soft and stable quilted. So this is 2 layers of fabric, soft and stable, and vinyl, all held together by these magnets, which are not leaving any holes in the piece. I can put this down on my machine and I can sew it and remove the magnets and we're good to go. So this works really good for bag making if you're working with like vinyl or cork or anything like that that's not going to heal, or where pins would really greatly get in the way of what you're doing. Because there's nothing I hate more. Well, there's lots of things I hate more, but for the context of this conversation, I hate when I'm sewing through on my sewing machine and I have to pull the pins as I go, because half the time I flick them out to the side and it's chaos. And then I have to go around with this long magnet on a stick and pick them all up off the ground so they don't stick in my feet later. But so this is a really, really cool alternative, reusable. They're not going to damage. I mean, they're super durable, and they're just really useful. And here's another way that I like to use them. So when I'm on an airplane, if I'm ever on an airplane again, do they even exist anymore? I don't know. But when I'm on an airplane, I put this on my shirt. Let me see if I can find. Because there's nothing worse than, again, there's many things that are worse. I'm being hyperbolic, just ignore me. It's a needle minder. So when I'm sewing on an airplane and it's time for my peanuts or whatever, and I want to put my sewing down and enjoy my peanuts, specifically if they're honey roasted, those are the best ones, I can just put my needle right here and not have to worry about it falling on the floor, because that's a public space. And like, what if someone else got poked? I don't know. I would feel terrible. So I can put my needle right here. It's actually like, it takes some pull to get it off, which is pretty cool. So it's a really strong magnet. So this particular set, mine are the heart-shaped. The reason that it's heart-shaped is because it's all mostly round edges. So there's, even if your thread does catch it, it'll just slide right off. With 2 magnets on the back, and then little heart-shaped backer. I mean, it's really cute, you guys. It's super duper cute. But I mean, this is really just a project because I really like these people. I really like this company. I really like the product they make. I think they work really hard at this product. It's the only thing that they make is SewTites. And I think that it's really lovely to see somebody come up, have a good idea, follow through with it, and make a business for themselves out of it. And I just really wanted to be a part of that in some small way. And so I approached them about doing a little Tula Pink TPNU SewTite. And I'm really excited that they were into the idea and that they did such a beautiful job on it. I mean, it's really a gorgeous little object. So this is the packaging of us carved into a tree together because we love each other. And there are a lot of different ways to use these. I find them to just be an incredibly useful thing to have around. I also use them when I'm sewing my little tags onto like my bags and my quilts and things. Because again, this is a hard thing to pin down. So I'll just use one of these to sort of magnet it in place so that I can sew it on, and then I bind it in. But I find them really useful for any time a pin would cause more damage than it will help. These are great. I mean, pins are obviously still useful for general sewing, but as we sort of evolve as sewers and start getting into sort of some different materials, especially when it comes to bags and things, our tools are evolving. And for me, this is one of them. And I just think it is such a delightful little piece. And this one is so good for English paper piecing, because so often the shapes that we're piecing are based on hexagons with English paper piecing. I mean, that's very common because in my opinion, it's easier to sew a hexagon by hand than by machine. And it just fits in there so perfectly. This is just I believe it's a 1-inch hexagon. Just super simple, fits right in the middle. So super excited. These literally just came in. I now have to call them and tell them I'm making this video so that they can get them on the website, hopefully today. I cause more problems for people than I help. But that's it. Yay!